Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Sparkster for the Super Nintendo. In the last part, we got through the random shoot 'em up stage with the worst boss in the game, and now we're in the last stage on normal mode. This is the Orbital Fortress, and starting off, we're in this really long section where we're in a random missile silo. That missiles that are really well animated for Super Nintendo, by the way, just come firing out at you. The missiles themselves aren't instant kill, however, it's very easy to get crushed here if you try to attack while there's one above you. But you want to attack ahead of time because then you can take care of the wolves in the next trench. This section goes on a bit long, but at the same time, it's really good for setting a mood because this stage, between its music and its look, has a really good foreboding feel to it. And I gotta say, that is a really well animated missile for Super Nintendo. Yeah, the Super Nintendo had some really good graphical effects going on throughout its history, basically. But this is one of those times where you're like, holy shit. That looks really good. That's near PlayStation quality sprite animation to me. So on the whole now, I think about this game just looks really good for Super Nintendo. Nice, vibrant colors, but also just really well animated sprites. The really annoying thing about this stage is that it's very cramped for a lot of it, so you're not going to get a lot of use out of rocketing around during portions. In fact, rocketing around recklessly can get you killed pretty easily. And we're already at the mini-boss for this, which is this random wolf mech. Since you're flying around like this, charging around is not your best idea, because then you're left unavailable to attack for a moment unless you roll. What you really want to do here is roll attack, because that, while it does less damage, gives you more control over where you are and where you're going. Also, any wolves that were still down there are now dead because that wolf mech just blew that thing up. Those missiles. What you want to do during this section is not charge forward as well. You want to roll even more because that will allow you just to charge right through any enemy that comes towards you. These vertical sections are the only ones you really probably want to charge through just because it allows you to get through them a bit more quickly. This is probably one of the easier final levels in the series, though, because even compared to the weird level where we fought Axel Gear, I'm not talking about the shoot 'em stage, I'm talking about the random musical instrument-based one. This isn't a very hard stage. However, I think what makes it hard is that there's so many bosses along the way, too. Because now we got a random mother computer. The hard thing about this boss isn't that it's hard, it's that it takes forever. Our targets are the 4 crystals circling what looks to be Mother Brain. However, these little circles love to get in the way and take any damage for you. Thankfully, your little projectile can still hit the crystals, and that's probably how you're gonna kill it. But these things can take a while. However, if you stand here in the bottom right corner, you're safe from basically everything, now that I think about it, because the little lightning bolts that the crystals fire out, they can hit you in the bottom left corner, but here in the bottom right, I don't think they can ever reach. If they do, it's a very rare occurrence. Admittedly, though, this circle of shields is good for one thing, though, and that's slowing down the game in such a way where you can easily tell when you should slash. When you start killing a lot of them and the game starts speeding up, it actually becomes pretty hard to hit things. I think the worst part about this fight is that it can take a while. I guess maybe charging through everything left to right could probably be a very valid strategy in terms of speed, but then you also put yourself in needless danger because if you get bounced off of something and you get flung into one of the shields because of that you're taking a hit and such, it's, I guess, more of a playstyle thing more than anything. Once you start taking out some of the shields, you know you're probably getting close to the end of the fight because you've done a lot of damage to things. At this point, though, this pattern is really all you need to take care of this boss fight. Still goes on a bit long, though. You know, I guess maybe one thing Sparkster could have done with in this game in particular, now I think about doing this, maybe some sort of bomb attack or a better projectile-based weapon that did less than the physical attack but still would be good. Like maybe a little grenade you'd fly forward in an arc and such, something like that. But again, that's more of a modern kind of concept, isn't it, for having that many attacks on a platforming character. Metal Warriors is probably one of the few platforming games like this that had so many attacks that you could do. Barring, like, Mega Man, of course. Because most platforming mascots like this in the 90s like to only have jumping and one other thing to them. And that's a very Mother Brain Death-looking pixelation effect from Super Metroid. But the sound effect there oddly reminds me of Kirby's Nightmare in Dreamland. Because towards the end of the explosion, it sounds like the little sound effect you get while on the little rail grinding minigame. I'm not sure if that's just my ears deceiving me, though. It's very similar sounding overall. And these jumps are just not cooperating with me. During this section, you got these little laser cameras that fire lasers at these little reflecting beetles. But if you're fast with your rocketing, you just completely bypass them. This vertical section is probably one of the most annoying in the game because you got a lot of these wolves on jetpacks with guns. The best strategy is just to rocket straight upwards and towards the next platform, do a roll attack to potentially roll into the enemy before they can have a chance to hit you, rather. Because I think you are not completely invincible, but you destroy most projectiles during a roll. With that, though, we have, I think, one more enemy rush here, and then we're going to be at the boss fights. Yeah, because I think this right here is the checkpoint for the boss fight, which they also give you a good amount of crystals in case you want to get an extra life. There's Princess Flora, but the boss for this stage is the villain for the game, who we have not seen to this point, by the way, from my memory. This is Generalissimo Lioness. This fight is hard. It has a couple of different attacks. It can jump at you and just try to touch damage you. It can breathe fire, which goes all the way across the screen, which you need to rocket jump over that most of the time. It has a little shockwave attack it does, which you can stand beneath. But its most annoying attack is that little double blue ball attack, which sounds really bad. But he flings them up in the air, and they become lightning bolts that slowly close in on you. You can not get hit by that attack just by standing perfectly in the center of them, but if you start spamming that attack and having multiple around you, you're probably going to get hit, and this boss will probably do a full heart of damage every shot, so you need to be careful in this fight. However, with that said, while it's a hard fight, it's probably one of the best fights in the game. With that said, though, this boss very clearly gets buffed from normal to hard because it just starts spamming, and it's a robot again, really? You just did that in Rocket Knight Adventures. God damn it. With that, we're on to the hard mode exclusive final stage. Yeah, Lioness's plot the entire game was apparently to get the princess's amulet to either act as a power source or a targeting mechanism for a giant nuclear warhead of some sort. I don't get it. But the final boss itself is the core of the missile, which I guess is supposed to be Lioness's true essence or data core. I don't know. It's the exact same shit from Rocket Knight Adventures with Devilingus's weird robot core thing. This fight, though, is really good, but really hard. It has 3 attacks. It can fire a bunch of flaming lion heads at you, which are very hard to dodge if you're trying to attack them at the same time. You just want to go to the bottom left corner and spam fire your sword at that point. It has a giant laser attack, which is easily the point where it's the most open, because if you time your attack just right while jumping up into it, you'll be flung into the laser but not get hit. It has this giant bomb attack where it drops a few volleys at you and they'll explode. However, you can destroy them with your sword. Lioness especially loves to follow up that attack with the laser, so that's your best opportunity to attack in general. It's a very simple pattern, but due to some of the randomness with it, with how many bombs they can drop, where they'll get dropped, and how many lion heads can be spawned in your general direction, it can be very easy to underestimate. It's a hard mode exclusive boss for a reason, even though I do think it's easier than the previous 2 end-stage bosses. It's easier than both Axel Gear's Giant Robot and Lioness, I'd say. Great music, though. Absolutely fantastic stuff. I think the really annoying thing about this boss is that while you get some gauge of how well you're doing in the fight, if you die, you have to go all the way back to the start of it, which, yeah, it makes sense, but given that this can be a long boss to begin with, depending on how RNG's feeling for you, things can go a bit awry here. As you can see, I even just decided to tank some hits because I'm like, screw it, I'm near the end, let's just kill him. And that is game. Also, aren't we in a missile that's about to explode? We should probably get out of here. That's Sparkster for the Super Nintendo. Honestly, I'm trying to think about how I remember Rocket Knight Adventures 2's Sparkster going on Genesis, but this is probably my favorite Rocket Knight game. While, yeah, it has its moments of bullshit between the Axle Gear boss fight at the end of Stage 7 and just some kind of annoying platforming in Stage 6 and such, it's overall a fantastic game. Looks great, soundtrack is really kick-ass. And I think the mechanics are more developed here than they were in the original Rocket Knight. Obviously, it's a sequel/spin-off, so they should be. But they're developed, I think, in the right way. It is a bit annoying that it's one of those Super Nintendo games, even though it's very of the era in this regard as well, where you have to play on a higher difficulty to get to the true final boss, but at the same time, I don't care. At least you only have to play on hard mode. Some games I know would have you play on the highest difficulty, like crazy hard, in order to get the true ending, but nah, we're good here. I should note, though, on the ending screen, we're going to see a play the game on very hard thing. If you beat the game on crazy hard, which is the highest difficulty, obviously, the only change there is that it says congratulations. Not congratulations, congratulation, singular. Otherwise, though, that's about it from me. I think the game's great, but with that, I'm going to need to take off for the night. Have a great night, take care, and I'll see you guys next Let's Play, whatever that may be. It's not going to be the Genesis version of this. I don't want to challenge that for a bit, because I think that's also the harder game between these two. I'll probably just look at my list as usual and see what we got. That's how I get through most of my things, so yeah. Have a great night, take care, and I'll see you guys next Let's Play, whatever that may be.